Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolute phenomenon. As an industry expert, I'm thrilled to break down how a single franchise literally rewired the entertainment landscape as we know it. We are, of course, talking about Grand Theft Auto. This series didn't just smash sales records, it actually built some of the most memorable, lived-in open worlds in gaming history. So, here's the core question we need to tackle today. How exactly did one game redefine the entire entertainment industry? We're going to look way past just the gameplay mechanics today and really examine the massive cultural and economic shockwaves of this series. Because, look, this wasn't just a technical evolution of code and polygons. It was a total revolution in how we consume digital entertainment. All right, let's get into it. Here is our roadmap for The Explainer. First, the genesis of GTA. Then, the open world revolution. Next up, expanding the cultural footprint. After that, the drive for realism. Then we'll hit the billion-dollar masterpiece. And finally, we'll wrap up with an enduring industry legacy. Starting with part 1, the genesis of GTA. Humble beginnings and core concepts. Picture this. It's 1997. The very first Grand Theft Auto is dropped by a small, kind of scrappy studio called DMA Design. You probably know them today as Rockstar North. It had this top-down perspective and, honestly, pretty simple graphics. But here was the magic. It introduced this totally revolutionary concept of pure player freedom. You could steal cars, run missions, and freely explore cities inspired by real places like New York, Miami, and LA. Then, in 1999, GTA 2 rolls around. It kept that same top-down view but deepened the whole experience, adding this gang reputation system where you actually had to choose your allegiances. These early years, they laid the absolute bedrock for everything that came next. Moving on to Section 2, the open world revolution, the 3D paradigm shift. The leap between these eras was, frankly, staggering. The early 2D era offered freedom, for sure, but it was essentially a flat playground for a fairly niche audience. Then 2001 happens. Grand Theft Auto 3 lands and delivers these fully realized, breathing 3D worlds. The industry learned an immediate, almost shocking lesson here. Fully realized non-linear 3D environments like Liberty City weren't just possible to build, they were completely revolutionary to play. Almost overnight, this shifted GTA from a quirky, top-down title into a massive, global phenomenon of deep immersion. And then, literally just 1 year later, which is a wildly fast turnaround in game dev, they released Grand Theft Auto Vice City. This is where the franchise proved that a game's atmosphere and a killer licensed soundtrack hold immense cultural power. You're playing as Tommy Vercetti, building this criminal empire amidst the neon lights. By perfectly capturing that vibrant 1980s Miami vibe, Vice City became one of the most beloved entries ever. It wasn't just a game anymore, it was a playable time machine. It captured the cultural zeitgeist perfectly. All right, Section 3, expanding the cultural footprint, setting new standards in gameplay. In 2004, San Andreas hit the shelves, and it intentionally bloated the open-world standard in the absolute best way possible. I mean, instead of one city, we got 3, inspired by LA, San Francisco, and Vegas. Following Carl C.J. Johnson, the game gave us deep character customization. You could hit the gym, go swimming, and even fly planes across this enormous, unprecedented map size. They proved virtual worlds could be vast and endlessly interactive. It was just a staggering amount of content. But while the console games were dominating living rooms, Rockstar was also making a brilliant strategic play for the handheld market. They dropped GTA Advance in 2004, then Liberty City Stories in 2005, and Vice City Stories in 2006 for the PlayStation Portable. It was a genius industry move. It expanded the game's cultural footprint by delivering these rich prequels that fleshed out the lore of their existing 3D universe. They essentially figured out how to let players carry these massive, living worlds right in their pockets.
Which brings us to Section 4, the drive for realism, a darker, mature narrative.
Fast forward to 2008, Rockstar enters a totally new era with Grand Theft Auto 4. The new GTA 4 engine was this massive technological leap forward. We're talking realistic physics, advanced graphics, and lifelike character animations that really blew people away. And this new tech perfectly supported a much darker, mature narrative. It completely matched the tragic story of Nico Bellic, an immigrant coming to Liberty City looking for a better life, only to get deeply tangled up in crime and betrayal. The whole tone shifted heavily towards cinematic realism.
And they didn't stop there. They expanded GTA 4 with 2 massive downloadable episodes, The Lost and Damned, which followed biker Johnny Klebitz, and The Ballad of Gay Tony, following nightclub bodyguard Luis Lopez. This pushed the industry's narrative boundaries in a huge way. They proved that one single meticulously designed city could host entirely different, completely overlapping storylines from totally different perspectives. It made the city feel alive in a way no one had really done before.
Now for Section 5, the billion-dollar masterpiece, redefining entertainment scale.
September 2013, Grand Theft Auto V drops. Rockstar took their biggest narrative risk yet by giving us 3 distinct protagonists. You've got Michael DeSanta, the retired bank robber dealing with a messy family life, Franklin Clinton, the young street hustler looking for his big break, and Trevor Phillips, who just injects chaotic, memorable violence into the whole thing. The ability to seamlessly switch between these 3 on the fly to pull off these massive, multi-part heists across the sprawling state of San Andreas, it was an absolute masterclass in dynamic mission design.
But let's strip away the gameplay mechanics for a second and look at the pure, unfiltered cultural impact. Billions. Specifically, it hit $1 billion in retail sales in just 3 days. 3 days. It instantly shattered massive cross-medium entertainment records. It proved definitively that video games weren't just competing with blockbuster Hollywood movies, they were absolutely out-earning them at an unprecedented scale. Yet the real secret sauce to the game's unbelievable longevity? 2 words, GTA Online. This took the title from a great standalone story and transformed it into a constantly evolving multiplayer universe. With player-created properties, co-op heists, endless competitive racing, Rockstar essentially built a living digital economy. By feeding it regular updates, they sustained this game's massive popularity for well over a decade and completely defined the multiplayer landscape for an entire generation of players. Finally, Section 6, an enduring industry legacy, defining the modern open-world genre. Looking back at all this source material, there's one core takeaway that perfectly captures this evolution. Virtual worlds could feel alive, dynamic, and full of possibilities. Think about it. From those simple, flat, top-down streets in 1997 to the massive, stunningly detailed reality of GTA 5. This series pushed technological boundaries with every single major release. Its DNA is in almost every modern open-world game on the market today. It taught the entire industry how to make a digital space feel like a living, breathing place. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. What will the next evolutionary leap look like for virtual worlds? Grand Theft Auto spans decades of incredible storytelling and tech advancement. Knowing how fundamentally they changed the entertainment world before, how on earth might they innovate next? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you next time.